Things just got worse and worse and worse as the night went on. Again, valiant effort down the stretch for the Bucks. Just too little, too late. Let's go down and let's see what Coach Fletch and the rest of the crew has to say. As always, go Bulls. So let's head into the locker room right now and see what the guys have to say about that one. Wow. Where do the Buccaneers go from here? What an incredible atmosphere. What a good win for the Tampa Bay Lightning. They snapped a 7-game winning streak. How we feeling, Bucs Nation? It's time to party, baby. I mean, I guess you got to laugh because if not, you're going to fucking go crazy. It's hard to put into words the range of emotion last night. And whether it's a good thing or a bad thing, I'm a person that wears his heart on a sleeve, and I get it. As a member of the media, you're supposed to be objective and subjective, and if you can't do that, you can't do your job. I think that's bullshit. You guys know that. I think I can support the teams in the Tampa Bay area and want to see them win and still be able to call them out, because out of anybody here in the Tampa Bay area, who has called people out on all three of the teams that we have here locally? Hell, all four of them. I don't give a shit about saying stuff about the Rowdies either, because I go to these games and I watch these sports, and I don't just casually watch them. But Brad Marchand was asked this question last night about, did you guys think when you were down 2-1, like, oh, it's going to be a 2-2 series going back to Amalie? And he's like, no, you got to live in the moment. But I did. I was sitting there in the press box. Everybody, like, listen, the crazy thing about last night being in that building was that place was a freaking morgue with 6 minutes left. The under 6 timeout, and I was going to videotape it, and I did, and I should have. Under 6 minutes left, and that place was dead silent. It was a freaking library in there. They were done for. Those fans gave up. The Miami Heat got their ass beat. The Panthers were about to blow a 2-0 lead where they won both games on the road. That place was dead silent, and I could not be just more taken back. Like, damn, you're the defending Stanley Cup champion. You're not trying to will your team to victory? Nothing? But unfortunately for Bolts Nation, the team didn't feel that way. And they were able to bounce back and win that game. And to be there and to feel like it just the entire so when my Recher's rapid reaction, I write out the text beforehand, like throughout the game. I don't wait until the end because I try to get it out as soon as possible. So I had this entire tweet typed out. Lightning come back, they battle back, they win this game, they even the series, blah, blah, blah. And then I'm just, as soon as I'm like, I have to delete this whole fucking thing. What the hell just happened? Sports is crazy, man. It really is. You think you know the way something's going to go, and then that happens. And I got to be 100% honest with you guys. I'll be 100 with you. If somebody is going to bring up the physicality and the hits for the reason why the Tampa Bay Lightning lost that game last night, it's probably a smart idea to not listen to whatever the hell they're talking about when it comes to hockey, because that is not what happened. And it is the laziest freaking narrative when it comes to trying to articulate what went wrong with a hockey game. Okay? They had more hits. Last time I checked, nobody goes, wow, that linebacker had more tackles. That means they won. No, you know what that means? They're probably on the field for a long time. So why do we do that for hockey? Well, they have more hits. You know what that means? They don't have the puck. Everybody wants to talk about the physicality of the game. Now, if you want to talk about the physicality in the game and talking about what happened with Brandon Hagel and Aaron Ekblad and what happened with Zemgus Girgensons and Nico Mikkola and that part of the game, we can have that conversation. But I don't want to hear anything about the Lightning's lack of physicality or the reason why they lost is because they didn't punch back. That is not the reason why they lost. And if you have people here in the Tampa Bay, listen, the only thing you're hearing that is from misguided and people in the area that don't know a fucking thing about what they're watching last night. Okay? So when people talk about physicality and hits and being soft and all that stuff, guys, I'm sorry, I don't agree with that. That's not, watch the game. Watch the game. That's not what happened last night. Okay? The first goal went in because the Lightning took their foot off the gas. And Nick Perbix wanted to skate his ass into the zone, la, 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 like he was out for a Sunday stroll. Brad Marchand finally wins the puck in the corner, finds Anton Lundell in front. He beats Andrei Vasilevsky 1-0 Florida. That has nothing to do with the physicality. That has to do with him taking his foot off the gas, and it was coming because the couple of shifts and a couple of minutes before that you could see it coming. It was about to happen. Also, the power play, once again, was horrible. And after the hit, and we'll talk about the hit, and we'll talk about Jon Cooper's comments, because because of what happened last night, I don't know if you're under a rock, but we'll definitely talk about that here. The Lightning 0 for 2 on the power play, but a 5-minute power play with nothing. Nothing. Absolutely ridiculous. And again, I called him out early in the series, and I'll call him out again. Victor Hedman was a -2 last night. He had 4 shots on goal, 0 points. Nikita Kucherov, in a game that you need to win, had 1 shot on goal. He played 25 minutes, 4:59 on the power play. There is nobody that has to wear this more than Nikita Kucherov. I'm sorry. I don't care that he had 3 assists in the last game. You have to put the puck in the back of the net. He has played 4 games this series, and he has 5 shots. Shoot the puck. When are you going to step up and take control of this damn series? 14 straight games in the playoffs without a goal for Nikita Kucherov. 14. You want to talk about the reason why the Lightning are losing these games? It's because of the power play and their best players not stepping up. Don't give me that physicality crap. Pay attention to the freaking game. And the game-tying goal. Aaron Ekblad scores the goal, right? There's a switch. Reinhardt's at the right point. Aaron Ekblad's in the middle of the ice. Moser's got one guy. Victor Hedman's got the other guy. Brayden Point is just standing in the middle of the ice, not picking up a guy, just sitting there. For all of this talk about why Steven Stamkos was let go and his defensive shortcomings and why the plus-minus was so bad, how come Nikita Kucherov and Brayden Point don't get held to that same high defensive standard? Part of the reason why the minus was the way it was last year is because of those guys. Brayden Point was a shutdown center coming into this league. Where is that aspect of his game gone? He is the guy that lost Aaron Ekblad in front. A defenseman in front of the net, and you're just going to let him stand there. Would I want some better rebound control from Andrei Vasilevsky? Probably. But his job is to make the first save. Make the first save. And then it's up to the defense to be able to clear the puck out. Brayden Point was nowhere to be found. I want to hear from you. What do you have to say about what you saw last night? The video call, somebody call. Here's the link right here. Put it in your phone. Put it on your laptop. Get in on the conversation. Join in here. This is on literally everybody. Julian included. Because Julian Brisebois, as much as I love the guy, he thought it was a good idea to go into the playoffs with a third pairing of some semblance of Perbix, Radish, and Lilleberg. I can see what they like in Lilleberg. Left-handed shot. He's a very physical presence. He's tough, but he makes some mistakes. Perbix, I don't know if he's ever been as good as he was in that first year. And they're still waiting. They're still holding on to that 1 year to see if that guy's going to come back. And it's just, I don't know if he's ever going to come back. Darren Radish is one of my favorite players to be able to talk to. I think he's got an incredible shot, but he goes out there on the power play and he starts passing the puck around like he's Adam Oates. Shoot the puck. He has opportunities to shoot it. Kucherov is feeding him. And listen, I say that, but there were some passes yesterday too where Kucherov there's such a wide radius for these guys to be able to get the puck, to be able to shoot. And Kucherov is constantly with these bad passes. I'm like, what is going on? Shrinking in these big moments. That is the reason why this team lost that game. These great players who do these incredible things in the regular season. And then it comes to the playoffs, and then they shut down. They melt. There's a lot of guys in this team that are busting their ass out there. Look no further than Mitchell Chaffee. And this is the reason why you want to watch the show. When Dave Mishkin joined us on the program yesterday, what did we talk about? He mentioned it on Power Lunch originally, but he didn't have all the information that we were able to talk about here. And what did we talk about? We said that Connor Geekie could get scratched. I put it online yesterday, and then as the day went on, we found out that there was more and more of a possibility of that happening. What a great call by Jon Cooper and the coaching staff, because Mitchell Chaffee, Luke Glendening, and Zemgus Girgensons are busting their ass out there. And Chaffee rewards the coach's faith in him with a goal. Love to see that. I think Gage Gonsalves is playing his ass off. I think Nick Paul is playing his ass off. That's great. But at this time of the year, everybody is playing hard. If you're not playing hard, you're home. You're playing NHL 2026 on your freaking PS5. You're not playing with everybody else. I want to hear from you. Here's the StreamYard link on your phone, on your laptop. Feel free to get in on the conversation. Craig in Vegas, I see you, buddy. Let's bring you in. What's up, pal?
Jake, can you hear me all right?
I got you. What's up, buddy?
Listen, I'm tired of also on the power play, the point man constantly passing up shots. Because last night Bob could not hold a rebound.
Right.
He was fumbling everything. And Radish can't hit the net or he passes up shot. I love Hedman, but Hedman's to a point where like there was a reason at times he wasn't the number one quarterback on this power play at times, and you could see it now too. So you got to maybe put him on the second unit. You don't have a true number one quarterback on that back end right now. He passes up shots too. I don't see much going on in the bumper as well too, where Point has made a killing down there too. Hagel hasn't scored a power play goal in a year. I know he was out in the back half of the game,
Right.
but you got to at least, as Espo says, you got to throw pucks at the net. I mean, how many times on the radio does he say it? Shoot the damn puck already. All right. And especially last night, they needed to pepper Bob a little bit more. And the defensive zone coverage, I thought the first goal, Perbix, you're outnumbered him 4-2, 4-3. Why do you leave the front of the net? You have to stay home. The other demon's got the corner, and that other demon doesn't really have to cover the corner if the forward's down as well too. Point fell asleep at that on the tying goal too. You just can't. It's basic defensive zone coverage. I don't think they missed Stamkos through the regular season, but I think in the playoffs, that back half of the ice, because last year he lit up the Panthers, and I think this is where you miss Stamkos right now because half the ice was open for him because Kucherov could find him. And what he put 4 or 5 past him last year in the 5-game set.
3 power play goals too, Craig. 3 power play goals, and you brought up a good point too about the bumper position where Braden Point has scored more goals in that spot than anybody in the last 5 years. Well, you know what? These defenses, they pack the middle. They know that in the middle, at the top of the ice and on the left wing there, where Stamkos made his hay, they don't got to worry about those guys. So let's take away that cross-ice pass from Kucherov. Let's take away whatever the hell Braden Point is doing there and dare you to shoot the puck from the outside. It's mind-boggling to me because I said it before. Listen, Darren Radish has to shoot the puck more, but he's also not getting great service. Nobody's devoid of blame here. Like, he needs to shoot the puck more, even if he gets the puck himself and it doesn't come on a one-timer. And Nikita Kucherov has to pass the puck better. That is what he does better than anybody on the planet. And he is not able to get a freaking pass in these guys' wheelhouse. It's crazy.
I also think, too, last night, with such a heavy team that the Panthers were, I didn't understand sitting Geekie last night. I think you needed that size out there. I thought he played well in Game 3. He does cost him, he creates space for you out there, too. I didn't understand. I think that's one guy you probably did need in the lineup, where I know they went 11-7 last night. I think Geekie needs to play a little more, especially against a team like the Panthers, where like I said, that's a team that's heavy, that's going to cost some stuff. I think he can settle things down and create a little space for some of the smaller guys out there too. So I listen. I'm not going to question Cooper's a great coach, but I think that one last night he made a mistake on the lineup last night. I don't know what you thought when Geekie wasn't in.
Yeah, I mean, so to be fair, I like what I saw in games 1 and games 2 from him. Game 3, there was two things that happened, and I don't know if it came across on the TV, but there was 2 plays where he got rubbed out and he was kind of skating a little bit slower to the bench. And I have noticed that he hasn't been skating as well, and he hasn't been able to kind of keep up with the speed of the game. The size, it's weird because I don't think for the most part the size, like these guys are like making him look like a puny little bitch in the corner or something like that. But the speed of the game is very quick for him. And the more and more, and I spoke to Brian Ekblad, I spoke to a couple of different guys within the Lightning organization, and the big thing that I got yesterday was that dude needs an off season. He needs an off season to lift weights. He needs an off season to get with Barb Underhill, their skating coach. Remember, they didn't really expect him to make the team out of camp, right? And then it was just like, all right, played really well. And then he kind of plateaued and kind of took a little bit of a dip. That's why they sent him back to Syracuse. I like you can tell Mitchell Chaffee just from the game last night. You could tell Mitchell Chaffee was on the team last year, right? Just because he was like, they're tough. That fourth line is busting their ass. Again, I said this earlier in the series. Craig, it'd be one thing, buddy, if our worst players are getting beat offensively, right? And Cooch is scoring all these goals and Pointer's scoring all these goals, and it's just like you're losing 5-4. But look at how many, like Luke Glendening has got 2 bum shoulders. He was 11 for 15 last night in the faceoff circle. 73%. This guy is leaving it all out there. He took the freaking hit or did the penalty kill. We had 2 blocks in game 3. He scores a goal. Like Luke Glendening has more goals in this series than Nikita Kucherov. Like,
and speaking of the faceoffs, they lose every key draw on that opening power play, right? It
Mm,
lost it on the 5-minute one last night. It kills 30 seconds.
right.
Why not have Glendenning start out on the face-off too? And then if you win it, you just get them right back off. Like it's as some teams do it. They put their best face-off guy out there. I mean, I think when the Blues won the cup, O'Reilly was out there for every draw.
Mhm.
Guys like that have a specialty of that because listen, when you lose that initial draw, you lose the first 30 seconds, and
Right.
I think that's also true. And I don't understand. I know the Panthers are standing up at the blue. Chip it to the far corner and go get the puck at this point because it's not working what they're doing now with, bringing a guy up with speed who's just going to turn the puck over at the blue.
You-
Because they've made no adjustments there too. So I think they can easily take this to 7, but it's just lack of situational hockey with between Point and Perbix last night that really gave
Mhm.
them 2 free goals.
That's right. Craig, you're the man, buddy. I always appreciate the support, pal. Thank you.
All right, brother. Take care.
Be well. Craig in Vegas, man. He is all over it. I want to hear from you as well. Join in on the conversation like we just heard from Craig on the phone, on the laptop. There is the link, StreamYard.com/HDMMBYSGXA. Take that. Type it in. Come on. Now's the time. You want to be heard, Bolts Nation, about what the hell went wrong last night. You want some intelligent hockey talk? You're getting it right freaking here. Get on the stream. I want to hear from you, Craig. Our guy in Vegas, always doing yeoman's work. He is the best. There is the line right there. Luke Glendening has more goals in the series than Nikita Kucherov. Suck on that. What the hell is going on here? I still cannot believe that is what we're dealing with in this series. And to answer Craig's question about the faceoffs, so you have the opportunity to put it on the left dot or the right dot. So what the Lightning do, so they don't have to do that with Glendening, is they put it on the left dot. So they can have a Cirelli or they can have a Paul. They can have one of those two guys over there to be able to take that draw, or a Jake Gensel. But they keep losing these draws. Alexander Barkov is winning these draws. I thought in that game last night, there was some really, really good stuff from the Lightning early on, passing the puck, the short passes. I thought they were really growing into this series and growing into knowing where they had to go with the puck, especially in their own zone. And then that time in the second period, right before the goal by Lundell, and then in the third period in the last 5 minutes, they just lost their minds. I don't look at it as they choked. I don't look at it as they're soft. I don't look at either one of those things. Like, just because you make bad plays doesn't mean it's just because of pressure, just because you're getting hit. Like, just some guys just don't play well. It is tough. You're playing against another very, very good team, the defending Stanley Cup champions. Like, the Lightning are out there doing everything that they can. One of the smartest players on this entire team, and you heard us talk about it with Michigan yesterday. I posted it. One of, if not the smartest player on this team, is Jake Gensel, who didn't get the puck out when Ekblad scored the game-tying goal. Jake Gensel, a guy with the Stanley Cup on his resume. Do you think that guy choked? You think that guy sucks? No, things like that happen. Unfortunately, for the Tampa Bay Lightning, when it has happened at the worst times. And when it does happen, it ends up in the back of the net. Now, we did get some news here right before we went on air that Nico Mikkola will be fined $5,000, the maximum allowable under the CBA, for his hit on Zemgus Girgensons, which when I watch this Florida Panthers team, I don't know if I've ever seen a team that plays on that edge, on that line, quite like they have. At least in the last 15, 20 years. This team does some of the dirtiest shit that you're going to see. This is not something that I'm making up. This is not something that I'm biased. This is not sour grapes or spilled milk or any other adage you want to use, any other bullshit cliche you want to use. This is a fact. Okay, I've seen the Lightning play the Islanders in the playoffs, and the Rangers in the playoffs, and the Avalanche in the playoffs, and the Hurricanes in the playoffs, and the Toronto Maple Leafs in the playoffs, and the Canadiens, and the Dallas Stars, and all these teams. Nobody does what the Florida Panthers do. Nobody. Matthew Tkachuk was invisible last night. You know what happens if the Lightning wins this game last night? We're talking about how Matthew Tkachuk was persona non grata in Game 4. He was terrible. Terrible. The only thing that he did in that game last night was punch guys in scrums. There was one time where the ESPN broadcast was just centered right on him, and all he's doing is punching people in the back of the head and punching people in the back. Like, what are we even doing? That's not physical play. That's bullshit, rabbit punches, dirty shit, and they're just so freaking fortunate and lucky that they are able to get away with it. They have an incredible coach. They have a phenomenal Hall of Fame goaltender. They do have really good players. I look at a guy like Sam Bennett. I think Sam Bennett may be their best overall complete player, and he is going to get paid in the offseason. Bennett doesn't stop, but he doesn't have to resort to those BS tactics to be successful. And then Nico Mikkola, who, again, I still think is outplaying Victor Hedman in this series. He's racing up and down the left wing. Hey, more power to him. But he sees Zemgus Girgensons on the ground, and he decides that it's a great idea to be able to board a guy's head into the freaking boards. It was tough to see at first because it happened on the opposite side where we were. And Steve, I'll get to you in 1 second. Hang with me, buddy. The hit happened we're on the left side of the rink. If you're looking left to right, we're on the left side. So that's why it's funny how we're in the same setup in Florida and Tampa. That's why I was able to see the Hagel hit on Barkov really well. But the hit on Girgensons was on the other side of the rink. The hit on Hagel was on the other side of the rink. So I was like, man, that's a match penalty, throwing him out for that. I just thought he hit him like on the ground, like it didn't. And then you see the replay and you're going, holy shit, dude. You could really jack. You're talking about, you could paralyze somebody hitting somebody like that. I actually got hit like that playing growing up. Not when I was on the ground, but I had my back to the boards. Like, let's say the boards are here and I was playing defense and I kept the puck in on my backhand and a guy on my own team hit me and the back of my neck hit the wall. And I remember just going straight down and laying like this. And I lost feeling in my fingers and my toes, my hands and my feet. And I was so scared because when I opened my eyes, I looked and my dad was on the rink. My dad, he's not one of those guys. He's not he is not one of those guys to come on the field, on the court. No, you get up, you'll be fine. But when I opened my eyes and I saw my dad there, I almost lost. I was, holy smokes. It's crazy when your back is to the play and when you're facing the boards like that. We saw the hit from Verhaeghe on Hagel before the Hagel hit on Barkov. And luckily, Brandon was able to get right up. But those hits from behind, the kid Roy from Boston College, 20, 30 years ago, like the kid he's paralyzed. You have to make sure that those hits are taken out of the game. There is no rhyme or reason. There's no place for them whatsoever. I want to hear from you guys. There's the link, StreamYard.com/HDMMBYSGXA. Put it on your phone. Put it on your laptop. Join in the conversation like our guy, Steve K. What's up, pal? What do you got for me, Steve?
What's up, Jay?
Hey,
yeah, I just wanted to start off saying I agree with your synopsis of why they lost. It was pretty much breakdown defensively. And the difference maker is the power play. Now, their power play isn't doing much either, but that's where we, can capitalize is our strength. And our strength, obviously, this year is 5-on-5 more than it was a year before. But it seems like they're getting entry in a little better, but they're still trying to move around. There's no movement. There's no one moving around. And I think that would help. And there's no shots being taken. Just throw stuff at the net. There's not going to be a perfect shot. Typically they aren't when you score, goals from the point. They're not perfect. You're just putting them on net and hoping for a tip. And I just don't know if it's them not getting it. If the coaches are preaching it to them and trying to get some changes, but we can't keep doing the same exact thing and expect different results. And I think that right now is the biggest difference. It's not the physicality. You need the physicality, but it's not driving the game right now. I mean, for most of that game, I feel like it was pretty even.
Right, physically wise. Yeah.
Physically, I mean, yeah, pace of play, but it's comes down to our power play is not effective, and then lapses on defense, and I mean, outside of the goonish type behavior from Florida, that Girgensons, I was reading Mikkel has gotten one fine already, I think for $5,000. So I don't know at what point this, becomes an actual safety issue, because it doesn't seem like that's the case, because that should have been a suspension. He was intending to injure, him, and same with the other side with Ekblad. I hear that there's a little bit of a family situation going on with Colin Campbell, and I think
Colin Campbell's like son-in-law, whatever. You can never prove things. No, but you're right though. I've seen that too. I don't know if you could ever prove things like that, but you know what? And you bring up a point too, Steve, I'm glad that you brought this up. One thing that, and this is what drives me crazy when people talk about hockey and they forget about the most important things. Okay. The reason why I didn't think it was a great idea to get rid of Stamkos was because of his leadership, right? Because I have a feeling that Steven Stamkos is on this team last night. They don't blow that game. I don't know for sure, but I just have that feeling. Also, the power play. As much as everybody wants to talk about, you got to get better 5-on-5. Well, you can't lose one of the things that's been one of your anchors for the last decade. Like, we see this with the Rays all the time, right, Steve? We're willing to give up so much offense for great defense. You don't have to be all or nothing, right? You don't have to say, I'm going to be great 5-on-5, my power play be damned. You need your special teams. When the team went to the Stanley Cup final years ago, I think it was the year that they lost to Colorado. Remember, they scored a goal late with the power play where Kuch just threw the puck on net and they beat Toronto. And I'm just like, you need to be good on your power play. And here's the one thing that nobody is mentioning, and this is what drives me crazy. How come nobody's bringing up Oliver Bjorkstrand not being there? At the end of the year, Bjorkstrand was in the bumper spot. Point was out to the left, and now you have two right-handed shots that can shoot the puck off the pass. When you have a lefty on the left wing, whether it's Hagel, whether it's Cirelli, whether it's Nick Paul, whoever it is, they can't shoot the puck off the pass. We've seen Josh Anderson. We've seen Matt Barzal. We've seen David Pastrnak. We've seen Nathan McKinnon. We've seen Alexander Ovechkin. And we've seen Steven Stamkos make a freaking living in that office, shooting the puck off the pass. And the fact that nobody brings this up when they talk about why the power play is struggling and they default to they're not physical enough. It's like, Jesus Christ, man. Like, what are we even doing here? And that's Steve. I don't know if they can fix it. Like, with the roster, the way it's constructed, I don't like who's the right-handed shot that's going to go out there. You're going to put Chafee out there? I don't think so. Are you going to put Perbix out there? We know that's not going to happen. Every other one of their top guys are left-handed. Unless you put Radish out there with Hedman, then what do? You take Hagel off the power play? Like, I don't know if the way that the roster is currently constructed, I don't know if they're going to be able to fix this power play in this postseason, and that might be their undoing. What do you think?
Yeah, and I agree. I think, and back to the whole Stamkos situation, I think it's showing more and more where he, from a defensive standpoint and an offensive standpoint on the power play, he's missed. Now, yeah, Gensel has showed up and been, more than what we've expected, but it's really showing up that, like, yeah, Stamkos probably would have had a lot better coverage on the defensive end in some of those situations, because that's just his mentality. And I don't think it's Point's mentality as much to be as hypersensitive to that. But I mean, at this point, I feel like you have to try. I mean, maybe it is pulling Hagel off, but you got to try something, whether it's, taking more shots, throwing them in from the point, hoping for a tip, like, just try something, because it's not working. So, I mean, you may ruffle some feathers with some of your top guys, but if they're not producing, you got to make some changes. And I just think that would be the difference maker. If we were to convert and capitalize on just a few more, maybe 2 or 3 more of those power plays, especially the 5-minute, like, we would, I think, be looking at a lot different situation. That could be one more game, that game win that we would have. Compared to where we're sitting at now, it's not a lot. You're not asking for 50% on the power play. Get to
2%. Listen, Steve, you're right. You score 1 power play goal in game 2, 1 power play goal in game 4. The Lightning could be up in this series 3-1.
Yeah,
think about that, right?
It provides more of a momentum swing, because right now, that 5-minute, power play yesterday was more of a killer of a momentum than it is else. You're taking time off of.
It's got the opposite effect. You're right.
And all of them have, I feel like, since maybe the second half of game 2, because you're already, coming in from game 1, dejected, right? And anytime you fail on the power play, that's getting in the Kucherov's head. That's getting everybody's head mentally. So it's a mental game also. And again, I don't know what the coaches are doing and Halpern's doing to really make changes, but that right there, I think is the biggest thing. If they can get their power play at least, having some different opportunities on the power play and not just doing the same thing, even if they're not scoring, okay, at least you're trying stuff, you're doing stuff. But right now it's the same old thing, and you can't just keep sending around the circle. They're setting up, which is good now. First game, they weren't setting up anything. They couldn't get entry. I was like, maybe they need to change their entry, and they've stuck with it, and they somehow, have been able to make that work. But you're still having the same issues. So anyway, that's my 2 cents. But
Steve, you're the man, buddy. I appreciate the support over the years, my friend. Thank you so much for calling in. Don't be a stranger, buddy. Thank you.
Good. All right, man. Take care. See ya.
All right, pal. Good stuff. Steve's all over it. I want to hear from you guys too. Come on. Keep it going. We've had Craig. We've had Steve. There's the link right there. StreamYard.com/HDMMBYSGXA. I want to hear from you. What did you think about that Lightning loss? Who is to blame? Can they come back in this series? They're down 3-1. And one thing that I kept thinking to myself as I'm walking to the locker room last night is they still have a heartbeat. They still have a pulse. And I know it looks bleak, but as much as we want to talk about the Lightning and what they do and what they don't do, like, I'm not blown away by Florida. Like, I don't look at the Florida Panthers and go, wow, they're so freaking good, man. Watch out for them. I don't see that. Last year, I walked out, I go, oh, shit. Last year, the way that these two teams played, I think the Lightning could have played 100 games and they may not have won 5 against the Florida Panthers. They were steamrolled. That series, the physicality stood out. That series, I went, they've got no chance. And the only reason why they had a chance was Steven Stamkos. That was it. Dan, I want to get to your call here in a second. Kyle, no movement or creativity on the PP. When seam passes don't work, they can't score. Florida defense too well. And Kyle, this is something that I've been saying for years when it comes to the Lightning power play, even when they had Steven Stamkos. This power play is about puck movement and not player movement. And when you face a really good penalty kill, and they know when to attack, because you see, whenever Kucherov has his back to the play, they rush him, right? They're a little bit, they for the most part, close the time and space. But as soon as he picks up the puck with his back to the play and he's facing the boards, they rush him. And they've been doing a really good job with that. But when I'm talking about the Lightning's power play, it is not about player movement. It's about puck movement. And when you have a guy on the other side that can hammer home 95-mile-an-hour slap shots for goals, like Steven Stamkos, you can get away with that. But when you don't have that opportunity for the one-timer on the left wing, you better be able to have some some player movement, because you'll see McDavid. So just bear with me real quick, Dan. I'm going to get to you in 1 second. Sometimes you'll see Connor McDavid on the left, like kind of the left point for the Edmonton power play, but he's constantly moving. So he's getting that puck going towards the net. He's getting that puck quickly and then shooting, or he's taking a feed from down low with a one-timer. The Lightning don't do that. The Lightning don't move like that. And guys, that doesn't happen overnight. That's a complete change in what their process is. I just don't see that happening. Things have to change. I don't know if it's a personnel change. I don't know if it's a coaching change, but something's got to give, whether it's in the offseason or now. But something's got to give now, or else they're going home starting tomorrow night. Let's go to Dan O. What's up, Dan?
Hey, how you doing? Thanks for.
Good
Can you hear me all right?
Yeah, I got you, buddy. Thank you so much.
Oh, excellent. Yeah, I'm sorry, I'm on my headphones. Didn't know if it
You're
was
good,
working.
man.
But yeah, thanks for creating this outlet just to talk chalk and
Yeah, of course.
break it down, because Lord knows that was probably one of the most painful Lightning games I've ever watched in my
Were you there?
plus of fandom.
Were you
No,
there?
unfortunately, I'm not. I'm no longer in Florida. But
not unfortunately, Dan. Fortunately, because Dan,
Yeah,
I'm walking
very
out. I'm
true.
walking out. I'm going. It's so funny, Dan, that you say that, because like I'm walking out last night and I'm thinking to myself, thank God for all of my friends that are Lightning fans that aren't here, because the fact that I got, like, it's so much different. I'm sorry to go on a tangent here, and
No, absolutely.
But there's something at Amerant Bank Arena, and I've not seen this anywhere else I've been. But the employees in the building cheer after the team wins. Like there was employees talking shit last year after I think it was game 2 or game 3 or whatever it was last year. And I'm just like, I never hear this. I've been at Amalie Arena for the decade. I never hear the employees there. Like they could be happy, but they're super respectful. They understand like not everybody there is going to be a Lightning fan. And Amerant Bank Arena, man, everybody's like hooting and hollering and talking shit. And I'm just like, oh my God, this is so freaking awkward. What do you got for me, Dan?
Yeah, I couldn't imagine being a Lightning fan in that arena last night. That would have been. You're absolutely right. Maybe fortunate for me, but yeah, I want to just reiterate that I do think, to use your own verbiage here, that you're all over it as far as
thank you, buddy.
Most of the stuff we've been talking about today. I wanted to bring up a point that I haven't seen anyone talk about, but it's been on my mind for a long time this season, and I feel like I've seen the windfall of it. But the decision not to retain Jeannot or anyone of that just kind of archetype. I know Jeannot was not producing offensively the way that they had hoped, and that's likely why they eventually let him go. But I feel like when he left the team lost that kind of fear factor edge that they had during, and I know he wasn't part of the first cup runs either, but
no, I know
like,
exactly.
They were a feared team. People walked into Amalie and they didn't want to be there. And it bugs the shit out of me. Sorry for my language, but
no, you're fine.
Just watching the way that, the Florida bench is chirping the team, they're not afraid of anyone on that bench. They can do whatever they want. They're beating up on our guys, headhunting. I mean, it's blatant. It's right. We all know what's happening.
Right.
And there's not a thing anyone on the team is doing about it. And I get it. Situational hockey. I'm not saying, I'm expecting people to go dropping gloves every 5 minutes, but it just doesn't seem like there's anyone on the team right now that is able to really stand up, get in someone like Tkachuk's face and say, back off or you're going to have to pay for it. And,
Dan, I mean,
Chernak has been doing that a little bit, but it's just not enough. These guys just aren't worried about repercussions of trying to injure people.
And it's tough for it to be a defenseman because you're just so valuable that you can't get off the ice.
And on Dan, the PK too.
I'm going to ask you this question, Dan. Who was that guy before Tanner Jeannot during the cup runs?
That's a great question. I think that is a good question. Now that I'm trying to remember exactly who was on the roster.
All right, I'll answer it for you because this is the reason why they brought Tanner Jeannot in. They brought Tanner Jeannot in because they wanted a younger, faster version of Patrick.
Oh, it was Maroon. Right. Yeah. Sorry. Beat you to
No, you're good. You're good. No, it's tough. I'm sorry.
Totally blanket. But yeah, absolutely. It was totally Maroon.
That's the point. So and I love that you brought that up because I get what you're saying. Because a lot of people are going to be like, I can't believe you're talking about Tanner Jeannot. It's not the point. And I understand what you're saying. It's not about the specific player. It's not about Tanner Jeannot. You said the archetype. That's exactly right. That type of guy. They focused on replacing Big Rig with a guy like Tanner Jeannot. And then when that didn't work out, they cut their losses straight into LA and they never filled that void. Never filled that void. And they try to do it in a different way. And listen, hockey's a copycat league. It really is. All right, Tanner Jeannot works. Big Rig works. Let's find a guy like that. Oh, we had a great third line with Gord, Goodrow, and Coleman. Let's try to duplicate that. Can't do it. Every single championship team is completely different. Even the Lightning that went back to back. There's just a little bit difference, right? Shattenkirk, more of a role for Sergachev. Guys in the fourth line that were different, right? Like that's just the way it goes. But you don't really see that until you have a series like this, where maybe they don't take the same amount of liberties if Patrick Maroon's out there. And we have guys like Brandon Hagel stepping up and Jake Gensel's not that guy. Cooch isn't that guy. Points out. Like, you look at the guys that they have up front.
The guys you want to protect.
Yeah, but you don't look at the top guys that the Lightning have. Like none of those guys are big dudes.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? Like Barkov is
expecting them to stand up for
Barkov is a big man. I that's one of my biggest takeaways from this entire series is after game 2, he walked by me and I go, holy smokes. That guy's freaking huge. 6'3", 215. He's built like a freak. Like his shoulders don't go down. They just go straight across. Like that is a big human being. And that's why it was even more. Well, I guess it was game 1. Yeah, because the hit from Hagel came in game 2. That's why I was like almost impressed. Like, God, Hagel, I can't believe, because Hagel, even though it says he's 6'1", Hagel's not 6'1". That's not. No, he's not 6'1".
I didn't know it said he was 6'1", but there's no way.
I don't think so. But he
closer to
freaking
5'10".
wrecked him. He wrecked him. Yeah, exactly. He's closer to my size than anything. And I'm like, oh my God. But you're right. If you look at the guys in their top 6, let's just put, Geeky, and that's part of the reason why I think some people would want Geeky in there. I don't think he's
agreed.
ready yet. But you look at Point's not a big guy. Cooch isn't a big guy. Gansel's not a big guy. Sorelli's not the biggest guy. Hagel's not the biggest guy. Whether it's Paul's a bigger guy out of all of them. But other than that, I mean, that's the reason why they would want a guy like Connor Geeky to be in there. I mean, Gergensons isn't the biggest guy. He's very strong. Glendenning's not the biggest guy. Like Chafee isn't the biggest guy. They're tough. Like their size is on the blue line with Hedman, with Chernak, like Max a decent size. Lilleberg's a big dude, right? So that's where you look at it, and this isn't the biggest team, and you have to wonder, by not going down that route of Rig, Jeannot, question mark, does that affect them in a series like this? See, that's the kind of discussion when it comes to physicality that is an intelligent conversation and not enough people are having. Dan, I appreciate the call, man. That's fantastic. Well done. Stay in touch, man. Don't be a stranger.
Absolutely. I appreciate your coverage of the series. I'll admit it's my first time following your coverage. So
thanks, man.
You'll be hearing more from me.
Thanks, pal. I appreciate that. That's really good stuff. Really good stuff. I love that. We always want to hear from you. And we got 3 phone calls. Let's keep these going, man. Let me put the link right here. Boom, boom, boom. Bada boom. Realest guy in the room. How you doing? There you go. StreamYard.com. Come on. There we go. StreamYard.com/HDMMBYSGXA. I want to hear from you. Your thoughts on the series. Do you think the Lightning can come back in this series? Game 5 tomorrow night, Amalie Arena, 7:30 puck drop. The guys are speaking right now over at Eric Chernak spoke today. Just looking at some of the things. Nick Paul and Jon Cooper speaking today. Jon Cooper is going to speak at 1:00. I'm going to give my thoughts on Jon Cooper after Ian. And Ian's going to join us at 1:00, talk some football, talk some Bucks, some Shedeur Sanders and all that. And then after Ian, we're going to talk more about the Lightning, and we're going to talk more about what happened last night with the hit from from losing my mind here, Aaron Ekblad on Brandon Hagel. You know what? Let's get to that right now. Let's do it. So I tweeted this out last night before the hit. Before the hit. I'm going to see if I can pull this up. It's so funny. It's just so funny. Like, you start tweeting things, and there's just so many things that happened in that game last night. I mean, this series has been crazy. And that hit again on that Mikkola hit, unbelievable. Come on. 5-minute major in a game misconduct. That is a lot. That's a lot. Come on. Oh, here we go. I posted this at 8:13 last night. 12,000 views. And I posted this before the hit on Hagel. I've never seen a player throw more little rabbit punches and shots to the back of guys' heads than Aaron Ekblad. I feel like I copied this tweet from 2023. There are very few players in the National Hockey League that are dirtier than Aaron Ekblad. Literally and literally. This guy was just suspended 20 games for performance-enhancing drugs. Not something that you hear in the National Hockey League all too frequently. But this guy was bagged for 20 games, and now he's welcomed back with open arms in Game 3 of the Stanley Cup playoffs. I don't know why he's even playing this year. He should have been out for the entire postseason. This guy tested positive for PEDs, and he's playing in this game. And then he hits Brandon Hagel with a Lex Luger bionic elbow, a Roman Reigns Superman punch to his freaking head. The referee is standing right there. None of the 4 blind mice on the ice saw that. No penalty, nothing. How many referees do you need on the ice? There's 4 of you out there. 2 refs, 2 linesmen. Nobody saw that? Now Ekblad's getting a hearing with the Department of Player Safety. He might be suspended for Game 5. I don't quite understand how the officiating is so crappy in the National Hockey League. A guy like Aaron Ekblad scoring that tying goal last night was such a spit in the face of the hockey gods. I cannot believe that he was in that place right there in front of the net to be able to score that goal. I think that's what makes the loss even tougher to swallow, because it was him. It was that guy, that cheater, that liar, that fraud. It was him that scored the goal. This is a guy that constantly is doing just the shadiest things that you're going to see on a hockey rink. Just you can't see it all if you're not at the game, but I watch these players. Tkachuk does it, Ekblad does it. Birds of a feather flock together, and these 2 guys are flying all over the rink and just behind people, and guys go by him and punch him in the back of the head, cross check to the lower back. Are they the only guys that do it? No, but it's time and time and time and time again. I put that tweet out before he freaking punched Brandon Hagel in the head. He is one of the dirtiest players in the league, bar none. There is no discussion. There's no back and forth. There's no questioning it. Aaron Ekblad is one of the dirtiest players in the game. And the fact that he was even in that game last night was complete and utter bullshit. You tested positive for PEDs, your ass should be out of the postseason. You should be ineligible for the playoffs. But for some reason, he's in there, and then he does stuff like that. Ridiculous. Ridiculous. There's no place in the game for guys like that, for hits like that. Florida's a great team. But why don't you see Sasha Barkov doing that? Why don't you see Seth Jones doing that? Why don't you see Reinhardt doing that? Those guys play physical. Those guys play with an edge. But they're not like that. I hope they throw the book at him. But you know what? This is on the league. This is on the league. This is on you. You let this happen. You let this guy, this cheater, this fraud, you let him play in this series. You want to turn an eye to whatever this guy does. You have officials on the ice that apparently don't see a hit like that happened in plain sight. Nobody saw that. Hagel goes down. He's slowly off the ice. And I want to specify something here, because there's a lot of back and forth about what happened as far as the fans cheering for Hagel getting hit. Now, you'll see all the Lightning fans say, oh, they cheered because he got hurt. And the Panthers fans will say, no, they were cheering because he got hit. Because Brandon Hagel got booed every single time he touched the puck last night before he got knocked out of that game. Every single time. But you should not speak about this unless you were in the building last night. If you were not at Amerant Bank Arena, You shouldn't be hopping on Twitter with your Twitter tough guy fingers and talking about something like this unless you know 100% certain that this happened. And I'm going to tell you because I was there. Brandon Hagel got hit. Everybody cheered. True. Brandon Hagel skated slowly to the bench. And when Brandon Hagel did not sit on the bench and he walked back to the tunnel, the fans cheered even louder. So don't sit here on this high horse and act like, oh, yeah, our fans are the best. And, oh, they were just cheering the hit. Bullshit. Bullshit. Quote tweet this. Put this on your social media accounts. Fans did cheer when he was walking down the tunnel. 1,000%. I told you about where my vantage point is. My vantage point is on the Lightning side. I watched him get hit, skate off the ice. They weren't cheering as he was going off the ice. He gets off the ice, and as he starts walking down the tunnel, the cheers picked up again, and they were even louder than the hit from Ekblad on Hagel. Fans are going to be fans, what have you. It gets crazy, whatever. I'm not necessarily judging that aspect of it because I know everybody's not a freaking saint in the saint in the stands, especially when you start, adding some brewskis to it. I'm not holding them accountable, whatever. But for people to say that they didn't cheer him going down the tunnel to the locker room, you're lying, or you just don't know any better because it happened. I saw it with my own two eyes. It's not biased. It's not me unable to be objective or whatever. No, I saw it. I heard it. I was there. Just the way it goes. We'll wait to see what happens to Aaron Ekblad. We'll wait to hear what type of repercussions are going to happen for him. I do know one thing. Jon Cooper is not happy about this entire situation. And I asked him again because, listen, this is just the way it goes. I ask about the hits. I ask the tough questions when nobody else wants to ask the questions. And mind you, we don't have a ton of Tampa media representation on the road because our local TV coverage, there was no TV stations there. There was no Tampa TV stations down in South Florida for games 3 or games 4. And I don't blame my colleagues and compatriots. And I understand they can only go where they're sent to go. But there wasn't many people there at the arena asking these type of questions. So I asked Jon Cooper this question. What do you think of the hit, Coop? And here is what Coop had to say.
Coop, what did you think of the hit on Hagel there? And any surprise, at least how the team responded after the hit, getting 2 goals quickly there?
Yeah, it's getting tiresome answering questions about a hit every single game. So I'll ask you. You asked me the question. Why are you asking me the question? Did you have anything to say about it?
Nobody cares what I have to say.
Oh, well, if anybody in here has something, stand up. Let's move on.
So there's Jon Cooper
Hit on Hagel there. And,
talking about the hit or not talking about the hit. And I really want to get into this after we talk to Ian about some football stuff. But this series is at a point now where it is the ultimate gut check. It's the ultimate, all right, we've seen teams come back from 3-1 before, and we've also seen that the Tampa Bay Lightning can win on the road. They won Game 3, and they were in a position to win Game 4. The only thing they haven't proved in the series, 2 things. They haven't proved that they can score on the power play, and they haven't proved that they can win at home. And if there's 2 things that the Lightning were able to do in the 2025 regular season, it was score goals on the power play and to win games at Amalie Arena. So that should make you feel a little bit better as a Tampa Bay Lightning fan. But what doesn't make me feel better is that this isn't the 2025 regular season. This is the postseason. This is the playoffs. It's time to nut up or shut up. And if the Lightning don't answer the bell tomorrow, they're going to be setting up their tea times Thursday morning. All right, let's flip the script. And let's bring him in. That's a nice shirt on you, buddy. I like the red there, bud. One and only.
I was about to say the same damn thing to you.
That's how we do it, baby.
Let's go, dignitary, baby.
Dignitary,
What's up,
dignitary, baby.
That's what I'm talking about.
What's going on, man? Did you watch any of that game last night?
I watched a little bit. I didn't watch a whole lot.
Yeah, a little bit.
Nah, but listen. You said they haven't proven a lot of things. They haven't proven that they could outplay Florida for a long amount of time either. So
yeah,
if we were the like right now, everybody has a chance. But if we were a reigning champion, up 3-1, we'd be pretty swole up. So it would have to be a collapse on Florida at this point. But listen, we have a lot of champions in our locker room still, and I wouldn't pick any coach other than Cooper to try to get it done.
No doubt about it. When you're in a locker room like that, and I know it's tough because of what your career was like as far as like the winning and losing and stuff, but did you ever have any guys come into your locker room as from other locker rooms that had success that really helped mold what the identity or mold at least the mindset when things weren't going well?
That's an easy answer. Hardy Nickerson.
Okay, there you go.
Hardy Nickerson came in our locker room, and I actually took him and his lovely wife out to dinner. Sam Weiss asked me to take him out. I don't know why, but I took him out, and he asked me a bunch of questions about being here at Tampa Bay, and I answered as honest as I could. And finally, he signed here, and the mentality started to change right away. But though I do remember Hardy coming up to me the next year and looking at me and saying, "This is your fault. I'm here." So it wasn't always rosy, but Hardy, even though he didn't win that Super Bowl, most of those defensive guys, including Monty Kiffin, would say he was an instrumental part in getting them there for sure.
Yeah, I feel like that is a narrative that's lost in sports sometimes where, Ryan Callahan's not on the Lightning Stanley Cup. Neither is Brian Boyle or Anton Strawman. But those three guys really kind of shaped the way that the Lightning were going to play the next couple of years and set them up for success. And it's rare that, we have obviously Hardy Nickerson and Tony Dungy as two other examples. So we've been, I don't know if blessed is the right. You kind of feel bad for those guys, right? But it takes more than just the team that season to be successful, because there's a lot that builds up to it, isn't there?
There's no doubt. And listen, I wasn't part of any winning culture here in the Tampa Bay area, but I can say that I was part of, I want to word this the right way. I was part of the turnaround, maybe because those 7 years that we were here losing, we were heading in that direction slowly. Right. And, when I left, it was after Dungy's first year. Myself, Tony Mayberry, Paul Gruber, Hardy Nickerson, and there's a bunch of other names, went through a lot of crap to get them to where they were so they could win a Super Bowl. We didn't get a chance to get that ring. Hardy was more instrumental during those, late 90s, early 2000 years. But it's hard to bring up the lore of the Tampa Bay, especially defensively, without bringing up Hardy Nickerson's name.
He set the tone. One of the 151 greatest Buccaneers of all time. You're on the list.
That's cool.
I mean, think about it. I mean, I know we joke around a lot, but I mean, Beck, think about it, bro. Like, there's 53 players on the team. The Buccaneers have been around for as long as they've been around, and there's only 150 players, 151 that they put on that list to vote for the 50th of all time. Like, I know we joke around a lot about it, but man, that's got to be pretty cool, bro, to see your name on that list.
Yeah, I mean, when I finished with my career here in Tampa Bay, I never thought anything like that would happen because while it's happening, you don't even really realize it's happening. But when I see things like Tristan Wirfs is about to break my record, it's not a record to get on the top 10 list for starts as a lineman, I believe. Mm-hmm. So I'm on that top 10 list, which is saying something. And Tampa Bay's been around since '76, and listen, if this is long and short of it. If any way my name ends up being on the list to top 151, I would be honored. But I'm also not ignorant to realize that the radio would probably have a big part of it because when people see my name, they're going to recognize it
And you're a pretty popular guy, that's for sure. You brought up a good point there, though, because Brad Marchand was asked about this last night, that dirty rat. They were asking him, hey, when you guys were down 2-1, did you think about, oh, we're going to lose this game. We're about to be going back to Tampa down 2-2 or, tied up 2-2. And he just kind of looked and he's like, nah, man, we're just in the game. And I think that is one of the biggest disconnects when it comes to fans, when it comes to media, when it comes to players. I'm on that in a completely different scale playing softball. I don't even playing softball. I'm looking at it I don't look at it like, damn, we're down 12-1. I think to myself, damn, man, we got to stay on it. Let's cut it in half. Let's try to win 13-12. Let's keep it here. We're not thinking oh, wow, history says that we're supposed to feel like this. Mm-hmm. When you're an athlete, as a professional athlete, I'm sure it's even more dialed in and more focused that, hey, who cares what we haven't won a Sunday afternoon game. You don't think about that kind of stuff. You're just like, hey, now's the time. Because if you don't focus on that, you might get your head knocked off.
Well, I mean, having played sports as long as I did, and I played a lot of different sports, and I learned a lot from different coaches. Coaches are philosophers and they're psychologists, and they say deep things now. And I picked up a little bit from a lot of different coaches, and what I got from every coach collectively is, what difference does it make? What difference does it make if you're up 7-0, 21-0, 45-0, down 45-0, down 20? It doesn't matter. It's you against that dude, and you got to do what you can do or have to do to be successful. It doesn't matter and if you get a mindset, it doesn't matter. If you're down 4-1 and you have a shift, your shift shouldn't be different than being up 4-1 or down 4-1.
Right.
That's all Marchand was saying was, what difference does it make? We thought we were better than them, and at the end, we scored more goals. So, I wasn't tripping. I think we're a better hockey team, and I like that attitude.
Yeah, and it's a belief is a powerful thing, and it certainly is. I mean, you can see that with teams that have it and teams that don't have it. Buccaneers finished up their draft, and, man, they obviously went with a wide receiver. Were you surprised that they went receiver? Because you and I talked so much about the defense there, and, they go with Emeka Egbuka at number 19 at Ohio State. Initial reaction to that, were you surprised?
No, because if you go back to what we were discussing last week, that happened. Yeah. That you have a guy maybe fall to you that you thought maybe wasn't going to fall, and now maybe you might need a defensive back a little bit more, but this guy might come in this year and make a difference. If every year people write down on the list the players that make a difference, it's very short lists. Okay, right. So if you were to pick a DB or edge rusher at that point that maybe would jump into a starting, maybe not, pick the wide receiver, because a lot of players are bunched together. The guys at the end of the first round, beginning of the second round, third round, there's not that big of a difference. Sometimes the difference between the third quarterback pick and the fifth quarterback pick is 2 rounds.
Right.
See, so it's so weird. We need this guy. We need this guy. When there's a hierarchy. Say you're not looking for an offensive lineman, and for some reason this guy falls to you that you think could be a 10-year lineman, and this receiver, who's the best receiver out there, might start for you. God, take that lineman, man.
Right.
And I think you have to have that mentality to be a GM and be successful in the league. I never have an issue with what Jason Light's doing.
Yeah, he does a great job of just kind of sticking to his guns. And
yep.
I know he was on with Pat and Aaron today, and he was just making comments about I'm glad that people don't really know what we're doing, right? That's good, man, because everybody's got an idea. Everybody's an expert. I mean, we saw that all weekend. And I think that's why. How much of the NFL draft did you watch?
I watch a little bit of it live, but listen, I do YouTube a lot.
Yeah.
And that's just abbreviated. You don't have to watch all the fluff.
Right.
All you got to do is watch the picks and watch how they react. There's not much else. I absorbed as much as everybody else. The whole Shador thing, that was turned into a fiasco.
What did you make of that? What did you make of the Shador thing?
Before the draft, I remember talking to somebody and I said, have you noticed that nobody's talking about anybody but Shador? Nobody talked about any quarterback but Shador the whole time. So when Shador, by the great Mel Kiper, you know how much I think he's great, has him at the top of the list, that's the mentality of everybody. Everybody thinks that's law. I didn't hear no scout say he was a first rounder.
Right.
I didn't hear one scout say he's a first rounder. So once he falls to the second round, okay. And I heard somebody say this the other day. If you pick a quarterback in the third, fourth round, you're not really getting him to start. Now, once you're bringing Shador in to not start, then he has a Tim Tebow effect, where you want this guy on the bench because he's going to be very popular. His daddy's going to be looking over his shoulder.
People are going to be calling for him on the sideline when things aren't going well.
Deal with this shit? I don't know if we want to deal with this shit. Now, a lot of this is on Dion, okay? Shador has gotten so much from being Dion's son.
Right.
So much. Now he's catching the back end of it because a lot of people don't like Dion and his attitude. And I think a lot of that had to do with him getting picked that low. I had a lot to do with Dion saying, I don't want my kid playing here, which he has no freaking right to do. And I think nobody wanted to buy into that crap, unfortunately. Then I hear stories about Shador with the Giants having his headphones on and the music on. Well, that's on you, Shador, because, when you see, the great ones, it's about focus. If you put yourself above the game before you're there, man, people are going to sign off. And if you were so cocky that you dropped 4 rounds, if that's what happened, that's a whole lot of cocky.
It's a whole lot of cocky. I like that. And I think about it. You know who I was thinking about this whole thing. I was thinking about LeVar Ball, right? And the whole LeVar Ball, 5-6 years ago, and how boisterous he was about his kids. But
they were great. They were better than Shador, though.
They were also, top 5 picks. But what something that you always said too was, I don't hear from the kids. I just hear from the dad. You didn't hear about LeVar. I mean, you didn't hear about Lonzo. LiAngelo wasn't, good. Obviously, he's a rapper now. Good for him doing his thing. But you didn't hear Lonzo, and you didn't hear LaMelo acting the way that Shador was acting. Right. And I'd argue that I don't know if there's ever been a more boisterous dad in the last 20 years than LeVar Ball. He was telling everybody that would listen that his kids are going to be the greatest thing since sliced bread. And he came out with the big baller shoes. Like that did whatever he could. And it rubbed a lot of people the wrong way. But I know you and I had this conversation. It was like, hey, at the end of the day, like it's going to be on his kids. Like the dad, that could play a part of it pre-draft or leading up into it. But if the kids are good enough, people are going to draft them. And if the kids got their head on well enough, they're going to be productive pros. And Lonzo's still playing, LaMelo's still playing, right? So, like, for me, and they were both high first-round picks. So, for this situation, yeah, Dion's going to catch some of the heat. But I always go back to this, Beck. If Shador was that good, people would want to put up with that because they're like, damn, man. And you know this as well as I do. When it comes to pro sports, a lot of people make a lot of noise. But people only put up with what you can bring to the table because they'll put up with a lot of shit if you can put the ball in the basket, you can score touchdowns and score goals. But once you start not doing that, or if you're a person where you kind of question what their ability is, then more and more people tap out. And that's what I think a lot happened. I don't look at it as collusion. I don't look at it as people wanted to make a statement. People were worried that the production on the field isn't going to match the high draft pick or what is going on as far as his interviews. And you and I spoke about this, and we had to wait and see because I don't put a lot of stock into what many people say, but our pal Trevor Sickman, who does such a great job, went on Dan Patrick on national TV and said, I heard from multiple sources that he was a terrible interview. Trevor does not talk smack about anybody. He's well respected. He's on NFL Network. He's on NBC. He's everywhere. Like we've seen his rise. We've seen him. We had him on the show when he was a Pewter Report. Yeah. And Ian, then 2 or 3 other people said, I heard from this person and this person they didn't interview well. Listen, people could say it's a smoke screen all they want, but you hear enough sources. There's enough smoke. I think there's fire there. And I think that's what happened here. And that's why he didn't get drafted till the 5th round.
Listen. Do I think he's cocky? I do. Do I think his cockiness made him drop 4 rounds? I don't. I mean, Johnny Manziel was freaking cocky as hell. Baker Mayfield was cocky as hell and immature. They still got drafted very high, right? So there's a lot more to this. Like, when I was watching it, I was talking about it being unfit. Listen, because he's Deion Sanders' son, okay, he was treated unfairly. No doubt about that. He had to be mature enough to overcome that, and he
Right.
wasn't. He wasn't. Like, he should have been, no, I'm not about that. This is me. This is me. LaMelo Ball, I never heard him say anything. I don't even know all these freaking kids' names. There's lots of them. But I've never heard them say anything crazy. Here's the one thing about Shador, okay? And I've asked people, why do you hate him so much? You know what their answer is? Because he flashed his watch. That ain't enough.
No,
That
that
ain't
ain't
enough.
enough.
Okay,
No.
that's not enough. Okay, because there's been numerous athletes do 17,000 times more than that. So
Right.
I thought Shador caught more heat than he should have. People were talking about him like he's been raping white girls since 1905. Okay,
Mhm.
that's not the situation. They don't like his cockiness. They don't like his father's cockiness. They don't like nothing about it. So it rubbed people as wrong as I've ever seen. Okay, because there was so much hoopla about this thing that whoever caught it, and listen, the Browns are going to catch it anyways, okay? It's going to be about him. It's going to be about him. It's not even going to be about the way he plays half the time. And you don't always want to have that guy in your locker room.
Right.
It could turn out well, but when you're the second string and third string quarterback and people are writing about you, that normally doesn't turn out well.
But they don't know if it's going to turn out well because, again, I think it goes back to all that stuff definitely played a part. I'm not saying it didn't, but I don't know if it's that much of a noise or it's not going to make that much of an impact if this guy was clear cut the best quarterback prospect. Like if he was clear cut, and listen, he's a traditional pocket passer in a game where you're going away from that type of guy. He's an in the pocket guy. He's not really making plays with his legs. The offensive line, people thought he held onto the ball way too much. There was a lot of people that didn't think he took accountability for his offensive line going from year 1 to year 2. People were worried that he was being coddled by his dad. I mean, listen, your dad's been your coach in college the last 3 years. So, like, there's a lot of – I totally agree with you that the off-the-field stuff was worrisome. Don't dispute that at all. But I think part of the reason why nobody took a chance on him because they're not slam dunk. This guy is – the arm strength is there. The decision making is there, even though he's a pretty accurate quarterback, and he doesn't run. He doesn't move like that. Caleb Williams caught a lot of heat for what? We forget. Caleb Williams was taking heat last year for what? Crying after losing a game, painting his fingernails, a lot of stuff that really didn't have anything to do with what was going on. The Chicago Bears were like, okay, he still can throw the ball across his body 60 yards down the field. He can still evade pressure. He still runs around like a maniac. He's still a phenomenal athlete. And he regressed from his second year to his third year. But people were still willing to do that because the talent was there. I just think it's a slippery slope when people get into the habit of just saying like, oh, it's collusion. And they just didn't want him because of who his dad was or because he's black. And I just – those kind of, it's a deeper discussion than just a surface area discussion and not putting anything on the field on there.
It doesn't have to be collusion if nobody wants you. It
Right.
doesn't have to be collusion. You just didn't get selected. And like I said, he's gonna get unjust scrutiny. Okay, that happened. I was on the Mike Calter show on Monday.
Is it unjust? Is it unjust
in
though?
some ways, and let me explain why. I was on Mike Calter show on Monday, and I was listening to them on the way. I was going in, and I came in. I just agree with everything they said. I heard Mike say that Shador isn't better than any SEC quarterbacks. Let's not do that, okay? Because you can't tell me if you put Shador on Alabama, he's not going to be good. I don't want to hear it. He's going to have 3 times more time. He's going to be throwing to receivers that are 3 times better.
Right.
And the coaching is going to be 3 times better, probably. So it's impossible to do that. Let's not. The thing is, everybody, the people who are Shador fans feel slighted, and the people that hated Shador go, I told you. Everybody should shut the hell up right now because you don't know. Shador may start in the first game and shine his whole career.
Right.
We don't know. There's no more inexact science in picking a quarterback. So I hate Mel Kiper ever opening his mouth. And there's so many experts right now saying, I told you so. You could all suck one. No way.
Oh, you mean Mel Kiper that had 3 quarterbacks ranked higher than Patrick Mahomes? Mel Kiper that said he was going to quit if Jimmy Clausen wasn't a Pro Bowl quarterback? That guy?
That guy,
I'm so done. It was such a huge turnoff. I could not watch the ABC broadcast with Nick Saban, who's got the personality of a dry mop. I could not watch that quick enough because the Mel Kiper hysteria of why Shador wasn't being drafted. Like, as the great 21st century philosopher I.H. Beckles once says, nobody slips in the draft.
Nobody
Slips in the draft. That's where you're supposed to go. It's up to you to make the difference and prove that, hey, even though I'm a 5th round pick, that I'm supposed to start. Listen, and to be fair, I get what you're saying about the offensive lineman. Kid had some incredible receivers. He had Colorado had the most receivers drafted in the 2025 NFL draft. So the talent was there on the outside, but I think that hurts him even more because now people give him that Johnny Manziel, Mike Evans type of thing of, well, maybe Shador wouldn't have been that good if he didn't have Jimmy Horn and didn't have Travis Hunter, right? Like, it's just another thing. It's like when we talk about the Rays Stadium. It's not always the quality of the issues. It's the quantity of the issues. So even if you're not one of those haters and you're like, hey, I need a quarterback, but I don't want Shador because of A, B, C, D, E, F, G. It doesn't matter if it's on the field or off the field. Beck, if it's 6 or 7 things and he's not the most athletically gifted, I don't think it's that hard for people to go, we're going to look somewhere else.
I agree. Listen, I've never been a big dater. Okay, I don't really date a lot.
Yeah.
But when I'm looking at a young lady.
Fellas crying all over the bay right now.
So I look at a young lady, you have to establish, is it going to be worth it? Okay? Like for me, I'd rather a good looking 7.5, you know what I mean? Because them dime pieces come with stuff.
Yeah, and they can't cook.
And they can't cook. And they don't try hard, get you a 7.2. They try hard, they been cooking, they got a little extra plump on them. That's what I like. Shador to me just comes with too much baggage, and the upside isn't high enough for the baggage. So if he's as good as he could possibly be, I believe he can be a good NFL quarterback.
Right.
That's it. Now, I could pick a lot of other guys. If I say if he could be as good as he could be, most of them were drafted ahead of him would say they were going to be great.
Right.
He just other than his father, and his knowledge has to be amazing too for what he's grown up with. Okay, but knowledge only takes you a certain distance. That being said, it doesn't matter what I say either. It just matters if he thinks he's great, and when he gets his chance, whether he does it or not.
And it only matters what the teams think, because they're the people that have to put their name on the paper, on the dotted line, to bring him in. And I thought another thing that counts against his favor is who has been working with Shador pretty much his entire life? Tom Brady. And the Raiders.
Yeah.
That would have been a primo spot, in my opinion, because you just traded for Geno Smith. Shador wouldn't have had to start. You're under the learning tree with Pete Carroll and Geno Smith and Tom Brady and Don Spytek. Like, that would have been a great scenario for him to be able to just get there and learn. And Ian, they constantly did not pick him. So that I'm sure people around the league are like, damn, if Tom's not picking him, right? Like, that stuff factors into it. I want to ask you about the prank phone call. Did you see that? So
I did.
Jeff Ulbrich, the defensive coordinator of the now Atlanta Falcons, who was with the Jets last year, his son, 21 years young, somehow gets Shador's numbers and prank calls him. He called Shador, apologized. From what we heard, that Shador accepted the apology. It's water under the bridge, but people are losing their mind. Even somebody like Stephen A. Smith going as far saying that Jeff Ulbrich should whoop his son's 21-year-old ass, which I think is kind of crazy to say that on national TV and people not bat an eye. What did you make of that whole thing?
Shador getting the call. This is one thing in sports that I think is unfair. Shador shouldn't take that guy's apology, but if he doesn't, he's going to look bad.
Right.
You think Shador likes that spoiled ass freaking kid? I don't like him. Okay? That's real. You going to take a man when he's about to fulfill his lifetime dreams. And I don't get that. Like, I don't get how anybody doesn't think this was disgusting. I really don't, okay? Because when I was being drafted, I told everybody that I know, Do not call me that day.
Right.
Don't call me. Okay, that's it.
Mhm.
So for you to call and mock a moment where you are, I mean, honestly, that is a spoiled ass kid. And what Stephen A. Smith said, I reiterated. Kick his monkey ass. If my son at 21 did that, you could ask him. It would not, and I've never I hit my kid one time when he pushed his sister. I don't beat my kids, but I would get in my son's face and how dare you take away somebody's moment. And I don't know how people aren't pissed off about this damn thing. That was a spoiled ass kid move. Him and his spoiled brat friends. You think that's funny? I don't think it's funny at all, personally. I didn't see any humor in it at all. And apologies afterwards, kiss my ass. No way.
You know, I don't love apologies. And I guess the reason why I asked you that is because you always say, "Who did it hurt?" So in this instance, you look at this situation like
But
Shador was hurt.
You don't think that would be? You're sitting there and your emotions are at the lowest
Right.
thing in the world. You've never been this low, and somebody brings your emotions up like that, and then it's a prank. No way. If anybody thinks that's not a big deal, you're not human. Because if somebody did it to your loved one, you would want to
hate
lynch
it.
him.
Yeah.
I promise
I
you
don't know.
would.
I don't know if I go that far, but that's I don't know.
No way, Jay. Jay, I don't
I
want
hear what
you
you're
on
saying.
that side, Jay. I'm serious about this.
I hear what you're
Don't
saying.
go on that spoiled ass kid side.
I'm not
Stop.
going on. I'm not going on the side.
Please.
I think that he was wrong. I think it was disgusting.
What if your son did it? What would you say?
I would hate it. I would hate it.
First of all, you should say
it's
this.
Just words, right?
My son wouldn't do that. That's what you should say. My son wouldn't. I could say my son wouldn't do that. I can say that.
But do you think Jeff Ulbrich thought his son would do that?
I don't know Jeff Ulbrich, but I tell you what,
does it matter that he's 21?
No, because
so who's to blame more, the kid or the dad?
He's not intelligent enough to think that he's not going to get caught. You're dumb.
I don't know if you worry about getting caught. I just here's my thing, Beck, and I get it. I'd hate it if it happened to me. I had this conversation last week with USF softball coach Ken Erickson. I feel like so many times in this country, we are so hard on kids or athletes or anybody involved in sports between the ages of 18 and 22. And we just look at them and we judge them so harshly on mistakes that they make. And I look at it as players too. I use that same argument for Shador, right? I could say the same thing about Shador. And I think that it's fair. I think Shador being, confident, you're cocky, arrogant, right? Maybe because I think there's a difference between arrogance and confidence. I think Shador can learn from it. I think he can get better from it. I don't look at a kid at his age and go, he's a lost cause, right? I don't look at a situation like this and think like this kid's the biggest piece of shit. He's the worst person in the world. I think it was a very, 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 very poor decision. And I think he should have to make up for it in some form or fashion, whether it's, an apology, more than an apology, because, I hate apologies, but doing something, community service or donating time or donating money, doing something, that's fine. But I feel like we get too stringent on kids between 18 and 22 and act like everybody out there didn't do some stupid ass shit at 21.
Well, I'm glad you said that because once again on the Mike Calta show on Monday, I went at them because I said I've been listening and you guys crucified Shador for flashing a watch. You crucified him. Then you let this kid off because you said, well, he's only 21. He's made a bet. Right. No.
Can't do that.
Don't do that now. Mm-hmm. You got to crucify both of them or neither.
Yes. And that's why
See, that's the problem. Like, Jay, I have no problem with you. I think we think a lot alike. I really do, okay? And a lot of different things. Not everything because I'm smarter than you. But there's some people that see things differently, and if Shador flashing his watch bothers you, and that didn't bother you, then we're not the same people. We're not, because Shador flashing his watch hurt nobody. No, like zero but. Maybe a feeling or two. How dare he have a nice watch? But when you do that prank, you can't tell me that somebody's emotions weren't smashed. Not just ouch and smashed. Because listen, I'm a pretty calm guy. If somebody did that to me or one of my loved ones, I would want to put my hands on them. I just don't think there's any room for it. It's some spoiled brat ass shit.
Yeah, I hope he learns from it because
he should have not done it. He won't learn from it. He won't learn from it because
you don't know. We don't know that. Like, I mean,
Well-
it's easy to say coulda, shoulda, woulda back. I mean, we can do that about everybody. You shouldn't have done something. I shouldn't have done something. Like, nobody's perfect. People are going to make
that's
mistakes.
what he is, though. But that's what he is. I would never do that, Jay.
But there were other
that's-
people.
I
Listen,
think
there were
that's
other
what-
people as well. There were other Cooper DeJean, the kid that got drafted, the corner out of Philly last year, it was even worse than Shador, and it was on video. So his was even worse. But people didn't make that much of a stink about it because it wasn't Shador, because he wasn't going through him falling all the way to the 5th round. So, like, there's a context part to this as well. Doesn't excuse it, but I'm just saying, like, this happens. So it wasn't like this is the first time this has ever happened. It's probably not going to be the last time it's going to be ever happen. It doesn't make it right. But what do you do here on out to make sure that it doesn't happen again? Is there a way to prevent it? I don't know if there is.
No, I don't think it's ever happened from a front office, though. Never. I've never heard that. Maybe some bystanders get somebody's number or whatever.
Right.
But to come out of a front office when somebody has somebody's number confidentially, that I think that's way worse, brother. I think that's way worse.
Why is it any different? It still hurts Shador. If it would have been a prank call, I don't know if it would have made a difference. Like if that was just like if the guy that called Cooper DeJean last year called Shador and he got him and pranked the shit out of him and still was messed up, like I don't know if it would have hurt less. It still would have been fucked up.
If it's some schlep on,
Right?
if it's some schlep on the road, that's just some schlep being an a-hole. If it's somebody in somebody's front office, as a football
Their
player,
son,
I was always told when you walk around the streets, you're representing that logo.
Right.
So how are you representing a logo?
Okay,
like
I see that. What do you?
know what I mean?
So what should be the repercussions? What should be the
He
punishment?
should be fired immediately.
The dad?
No, the kid.
He's not an employee for them.
Get him out of there.
I
He
think he
doesn't
just
deserve. He makes bad decisions. Get him out of there because obviously he was with a bunch of other people, and the other people didn't think it was asinine either. So the mentality of whatever that room is has to change. Get him out of there. Period.
out of there. Get him out of there.
Get out of here.
What's going on at the Dignitary Cafe, brother?
You know, we sipping on tea, doing us, hanging out, having a good time. We had a wonderful 420 event, and business is picking up, man. Business is good.
Yep. Any big events going on?
Coming up on Memorial Day, my girl Sandy's gonna be. She's gonna have her food truck here. She cooks the best Cajun food in the Tampa Bay area. I'm actually heading to Puerto Rico on Thursday. So
wow, for
I'm
what?
going for about 5 days with a couple of friends of mine, and we're gonna hang out and do some fishing and lay loose and just relax ourselves, man. I need it.
All right, last thing out of me. Philadelphia Eagles went to the White House yesterday, but not everybody did.
All right.
Would you go? It's tough.
That's a great question.
It's tough because people are getting on Saquon because he's hanging out with the president.
I
But
know.
Jalen Hurts and AJ Brown and all these different guys didn't go. Yeah, and we've seen it on both sides. Like this isn't just a liberal conservative thing. Like Tim Thomas didn't go when Obama was the goalie for the Bruins wasn't there when Obama was there. I look at it like this.
Mm-hmm.
I can understand why people, especially somebody like Trump, because he is very polarizing, and people that on the left really, really don't like him. And he's probably the most vitriolic president, that we've
No,
seen
take the
in our
probably
lifetime.
out. Take the probably out.
But I also hate that we've gotten to the point in this country where it can't just be a standalone event.
Agreed.
Like that the politics have to be involved with that. Because growing up, like I just think it's really cool. Like aside from the presidents, aside from the politics, like I think it's really cool that sports is such a big part of our country that the leader of the free world, the commander in chief, like takes time out of his day leading the country to celebrate the sports team that won the championship in one of the major sports in our country. Like I like that because I feel like there's so many good things that come from sports. I think it's sad. I really do. I think if I come to a conclusion on the thing, like I think it's sad that that's where we're at in this country, where people like opt out or have other things to do, and they they're focused on their politics in the situation, and whether they're right or wrong, like I'm not judging them, but just that's where we're at in this country, where you're either pro-Trump or anti-Trump or pro-Biden or anti-Biden, and you'll go or you're not go. Like, it should just be a nice thing to celebrate your team winning, and that's it.
I agree. I think it's sad as well. I've been thinking while you were talking. You asked me would I go? Yes, I would go. Okay.
You would go.
I would go. I'm not a political person. I'm definitely not a Donald Trump fan. I would be going to the White House. That's what I would be doing. Okay, and I'd be part of an experience. As far as people not going, I'm going to treat this exactly like I treated Colin Kaepernick kneeling. I have no problem with you kneeling. I'm not going to kneel.
Right.
But I have no problem with you kneeling. I have no problem with anybody not going. And I have no problem with anybody going. Even if your political views are you hate Trump and you still go to the White, you don't have to hug him and kiss him on his mouth. Just go to the White House, be with your brothers. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I'm in situations sometimes, but you don't really love the situation, but it's you're with your brothers and you got to deal with the situation. I think that's it. Everything has become political. Yeah. Every single thing we talk about is political when it's not. It's not political. We just make every single thing political. You know what? Colin Kaepernick kneeling, man, did anybody think, how many years ago was that? 15 years ago?
No. I was at DAE, so it was like
10 years,
7 years ago.
God, that'd be more than that, isn't it?
No, because it happened. You was after you left.
Mm-hmm.
It was after you left, and it
after
was when
I
was
left.
with the other guys.
No.
Yeah, bro, because Nate Boyer was on the air with Ron and the
you
other
might be
dude.
right.
And I was just, they were like, what do you think? And I'm like, I'm not contributing to this conversation.
Yeah, right.
They were like, what do you think? I'm like, I'm a producer, bro. Y'all are going to talk over me. I'm not going to give my 2 cents. No thanks.
Well, we're still talking about it. You know what I mean? So, we're a funny country.
That's why people are still bringing up the Shador thing about the Kaepernick thing. Like, I'm like, man, that's a stretch for me. Like, that's way different. Like, we're talking about something that's like that is on a completely different level. The Kaepernick situation and the Shador situation aren't even on the same planet, in my opinion. We're talking about something that galvanized the country. Yeah. Everybody had an opinion on Kaepernick. People that don't know shit about football, they didn't care about Shador Sanders. Like, in football circles, maybe there's a parallel to it, but Kaepernick still to this day, even if you have nothing to do with football, you know what happened with Colin Kaepernick. You have an opinion on what happened with Colin Kaepernick. Like, that was a social issue. That was not a sports issue. Shador is a sports issue with a little bit of social peppered in there for people that want to make it convenient for them.
Well, not only will they make it about politics, they'll also make it about race every single time.
Right.
And the Colin Kaepernick thing, race was built into it. But listen, I'm sitting here listening to all this Shannon Sharp stuff. It's turning into race. Like I even heard Shannon Sharp say, Busby likes to go after rich black. No, dog, you messed up. You put yourself in a situation where he's coming after you. He didn't go after black men. He goes after idiots, putting themselves in situations where you go and get got.
Yeah.
Shannon Sharp, with all this stuff coming up, bro, he's top 5 dumbest people I've ever seen in the list with Chris Forster. And that's a dumb list.
Why? Why you put him on that list?
Did you see the text messages? Put a black baby in me, and then you still hung out with that girl? That girl crazy, dog. Come on now. I mean, if your thing is first of all, she's a 19-year-old girl in your mind.
No, she's
20-something now.
20s,
She was 19 back in the day. Well, let's make her 21. It don't matter. I just went to Paso Girl Beach. You know how many 21-year-old girls with perfect asses I saw?
Don't know.
You can't jump on those girls and think it's going to be okay. Come on now, Jay. Come on now. I'm smarter than that.
He ain't as smart as me, though, so that's the way it goes. Turnabout is fair play.
But, Jay, if I was smarter than you, I'd be better looking and smarter. The good Lord won't let that happen.
The lie detector test determined that was a lie. My friend, Ian_Beckles. Check him out on Instagram. Go to the Dignitary Cafe, 4817 Southwest Shore Boulevard. Beck, I appreciate you, brother. This has been fun. Talk soon.
One love, kid.
One love, buddy. Wow. That was a lot of fun. All right. We have some breaking news. Out for game 5. You've got to be kidding me. I mean, I can't say I'm surprised. Cannot say I'm surprised. Brandon Hagel out for game 5 tomorrow. Here is the link. I want to hear from you. StreamYard.com/HDMMBYSGXA. What are your thoughts? Brandon Hagel out for game 5 tomorrow. Jon Cooper just announced it earlier today at Amalie Arena. There is the link right there. StreamYard.com/HDMMBYSGXA. Horrible. Horrible, horrible, horrible. I honestly am having trouble wrapping my mind around what happened in that game last night. And now that we know that Brandon Hagel is not going to be in that game, it's bullshit, man. Bullshit. I feel so bad for Brandon Hagel. Listen, when you're talking about the hit, and again, call me right now, StreamYard.com/HDMMBYSGXA. Put that link on your phone. Put that link on your laptop. Feel free. Copy and paste it. It's going to be in the chat here. I want to hear from you. Your thoughts on Brandon Hagel not playing in Game 5. Do you think the Lightning are going to be able to come back in this series and win against the Florida Panthers? They're down 3-1. Game 5 tomorrow night at Amalie Arena. 7:30 puck drop. Pregame starts at 7 o'clock. Now we got the news from Jon Cooper himself that Brandon Hagel is out for game 5. I just terrible. I want to get the exact quote here, of course. Everybody tweeted out, and then when you try to find it, you can't find it anywhere. Where's my guy? I didn't see that. There we go. Okay. Jon Cooper. That's not it. Sorry. Just go to my good friend Gabby Shirley. All right, again, there's the link. Phone, laptop, get here. Here we go. Clinton Blair, there's got to be some big changes to the team in the offseason, both on the ice and behind the bench. Cooper safe, but assistants except for Nigel need to be really given a hard look. Nobody's taking Nigel. Nigel ain't going nowhere. No way. So according to Jon Cooper, Lightning head coach Brandon Hagel not playing in game 5. There it is, and you know why. Yep, we do know why. And it was because of a cheap-ass hit from Aaron Ekblad, Florida Panthers defenseman, who shouldn't even have been in that game. What is wrong with the NHL? What is wrong with the Department of Player Safety? I can't quite wrap my head around the BS that swirls and envelops this league. And now Brandon Hagel is not going to be available for game 5. Again, Jon Cooper earlier today at Amalie Arena, Coop says he's not playing tomorrow, so there it is, and you know why. Brandon Hagel out for game 5 because of a dirty hit from Aaron Ekblad. And to make matters worse, Ekblad comes in later on, scores the game-tying goal. The Panthers go on to win. Ekblad shouldn't even have been in that game. He should have got kicked out when he freaking punched Hagel in the face. A forearm shiver. He looked like Lex Luger with the bionic elbow. Roman Reigns Superman punch. Earl Campbell on the field throwing stiff arms at people. This guy, this is He shouldn't even have been in this game. He shouldn't even be in this series. He shouldn't even be eligible for the postseason. He got bagged. He got suspended for 20 games for PEDs in the regular season. Why is he eligible for the playoffs? You don't even hear guys getting suspended for PEDs in hockey. And here comes Aaron Ekblad, a guy that is known for cheap shots, known for punching people in the back of the head, hitting people behind the play. I literally tweeted it out 10 minutes before Brandon Hagel took a cheap shot from Aaron Ekblad. The liar, the cheater, the fraud. Aaron Ekblad is a cheater and he's a fraud. There's no reason why that guy should have been in the game last night. He shouldn't have been in the game last night because he shouldn't have been eligible because he got suspended for PEDs. Then he should have got kicked out of the game for an ultimate cheap shot on Brandon Hagel. And how in the hell did the referees not see what happened on that play? You have 4 people out there, 2 referees, 2 linesmen, the 4 blind mice on the ice, the blind leading the blind. Nobody saw that? Yeah, now Ekblad's got a hearing and he might get suspended. Great, that whatever. Shouldn't safety be paramount in this game? Shouldn't your referees have enough wherewithal to be able to see what's going on the ice? How that play is not reviewable, how that guy is even eligible to step onto the ice for that game is complete and utter BS. I just, it's crazy, man. It's crazy to me. I just don't understand the rationale. I don't understand the thought process of what goes on in the National Hockey League sometimes. It's a beautiful game. It's a wonderful sport. It's the toughest trophy to win. And then you have situations like this where it's just like, yeah, let him play. That's fine. He didn't do anything wrong. Really? What is he going to get? A game? 2 games? How long is Hagel going to be out? We don't know. We don't know how long he's going to be out. And this is because of the NHL not putting their foot down. Listen, Hagel, some people thought it was a bad hit. Some people thought it was maybe a little bit overblown. He got suspended. It came in the heat of the play. Hagel wasn't going out there trying to hurt Barkov. It was a split-second decision. He thought he touched the puck. He was wrong. And he was suspended. And he did his time, and then he came back. You have Matthew Tkachuk that's literally giving up on trying to prevent an empty net goal from Anthony Cirelli, turning his body completely around and hitting Jake Gensel in the middle of the ice. Doesn't get any kind of supplementary discipline, doesn't get any kind of hearing whatsoever. Then you see the game last night where Nico Mikkola is checking Zemgus Girgensons from behind when he's already on the ground, and then Aaron Ekblad pops Brandon Hagel in the face and doesn't even get penalized for it. The NHL and the Department of Player Safety really need to look in the mirror and see if they're doing everything they can to make sure that this game is being played in a form and fashion that is going to be safe for their players. It's a physical game. I'm not obtuse to the fact that there's going to be back and forth. There's going to be some tough hits. We get that. But we're seeing this over and over and over and over again from the Florida Panthers. And the league just sitting there freaking twiddling their thumbs. Just sitting here, la-da-da-da-da. And something like this has to happen where Hagel's, who knows if Hagel even comes back in this series. And what is the league going to say? Oh, well, part of the game. Not good enough. Not good enough. Played this a little bit before. I want to play it again now. Jon Cooper, he's over it. Jon Cooper is over this entire thing. And look at this. This is the question. And listen, I know a lot of people are getting on me saying, oh, you should have done this. You should have done that. Like, I'm not trying to hear any of this. I don't want to hear what anybody has to say about I should have done this, or I should have asked this question, or you should have answered it this way. It is what it is. Again, there's no TV crews out there. There was no local TV there last night. Not a lot of people are asking questions. I was there. A few other people were there, and nobody's asking these questions. So if somebody's got to do it, I'll do it. So I asked the question last night about the hit from Hagel. I asked the question last night to Jon Cooper about the hit from Aaron Ekblad on Brandon Hagel. And here's what Coop had to say.
Any surprise, at least how the team responded after the hit, getting 2 goals quickly there?
Yeah, it's getting tiresome answering questions about a hit every single game. So I'll ask you. You asked me the question. Why are you asking me the question? Do you have anything to say about it?
Nobody cares what I have to say.
Oh, well, if anybody in here has something, stand up and let me know. Let's move on.
So, you're a human being, right? Like nobody likes to have the tables turned like that on them. I don't particularly care for it. But it's just kind of the nature of the beast. It comes with the, kind of comes with the territory, something like that. You want me to play it again? Hammered was just tuning in. I want to play it again if you didn't hear it, guys. Coop doesn't speak that loud, so we got to be conscientious of that too. Hold on 1 second. Let me see if I can play it again for you guys if you missed it. Oh, okay. Maybe that's why. All right. I'll do it again. Hold on. No, cancel. I don't want to leave you guys. All right. Here's what Jon Cooper had to say. And sorry, I changed the audio. I want to make sure you guys can hear it. I asked Jon Cooper last night about the hit by Ekblad on Hagel, and here is what he had to say.
Coop, what you think of the hit on Hagel there? And any surprise, at least how the team responded after the hit, getting 2 goals quickly there?
Yeah, it's getting tiresome answering questions about a hit every single game. So I'll ask you. You asked me the question. Why are you asking the question? Do you have anything to say about it?
Nobody cares what I have to say.
Oh, well, if anybody in here has something, stand up and let me know. Let's move on.
So I know some people were like, all right, well, you should have said that it was a dirty hit. Listen, it's not my place to say anything in that spot. It's not. People want to hear what Jon Cooper has to say about the hit, not me. I don't know what you guys want me to do about a situation like that. He's the head coach of the team, and everything was fine when I asked him the other night about the hit, and he said we only hit guys that have the puck. So when they won the game, it was a lot more cordial than it was last night. And I guarantee you, if I asked that question and the Lightning have won Game 4, the response would be different. But I don't look at it like that. I don't take offense to it. I'm not butthurt about it. I just want you guys to understand where I'm coming from in a situation like that. But what you guys have to realize is that Coop is over it. He's over this. He just can't sit there and bitch and moan and complain about this entire thing every single time. Because it's like he's shouting into the abyss. What is he supposed to do? The league is not taking the necessary precaution, whether it's on the ice or whether it's after the fact. I still, to this day, don't understand how Matthew Tkachuk didn't get a hearing. They're so focused on the comparison between the Matthew Tkachuk hit and the Brandon Hagel hit. They weren't even the same thing. I don't understand why. Why didn't they get into a point where they're looking at the situation and going, hey, these are 2 different hits. Let's look at them separately. Hagel mirrored Barkov all the way down the ice. All the way down the ice. And then made a split-second decision because he thought that Barkov touched the puck. He was wrong. He was suspended. That's it. It wasn't premeditated. He wasn't headhunting. He wasn't trying to go hurt the guy. And then you see Matthew Tkachuk with revenge in his eyes late in Game 3 when Anthony Cirelli's about to score an empty net goal. He literally turns away from Cirelli. He turns away from him, something that Brandon Hagel did not do. Why isn't the focus on that? I don't understand. He turns all the way around and pops Jake Gensel. Luckily, Jake got right up. What if he didn't? What if he didn't get right up? Then we're having a complete different conversation after that game. Now you have a situation here where 2 times in the game, the Florida Panthers take liberties with the Lightning players. They pick and choose what they want to get pissed off about, what they want to punish people for, what they want to suspend people for. Nico Mikkola just sits there when a guy's on his knees and cross-checks him in the top of his neck, back of his head. That could really hurt somebody. And he got thrown out of the game, deservedly so. Aaron Ekblad not trying to play the puck whatsoever. And his arm was so freaking high. Go watch the replay. His arm was all the way up here. Not even close to a legal hit. But somehow, some way, again, the 4 blind mice on the ice, nobody saw that. Nobody in the league can say anything about that. It's freaking wild to me that these are the conversations that we have to have. And now what? Ekblad gets a game or 2 games, and then maybe the Lightning lose a series. He comes back for the next round. Everything's all sunshine and rainbows and butterflies. Everything's great with Aaron Ekblad. Everybody's looking at him like he's this great dude that scored the game-tying goal. He works so hard. Yeah, work hard my ass. You don't work hard if you take PEDs. You're trying to take shortcuts. You're trying to do things in a shady capacity. I've got 0 respect for Aaron Ekblad. Sorry. 0. You're a cheat. You're a liar. You're a fraud. You take shortcuts to try to get ahead, and you literally went headhunting at Brandon Hagel, and now you're going to pay the price. I cannot believe this. There's nothing that's going to happen that's going to make me feel better about this. It's just not going to happen. All right, before we go, Rays in action tonight, 7:05 start there at Steinbrenner Field. Michael Lorenzen on the bump for KC, Taj Bradley. Lorenzen 2-3 with a 3.90 ERA. Taj 2-1 with a 5.08. A very, very well-deserved day off for the Rays yesterday. They got to get back at it, though. And it's so important for them to make sure that they use what just happened over the weekend on that 5-1 road trip and carry it over to this homestand. Carry it over, and now's the time to make a move in the AL East. It's still kind of hanging in the balance. The Yankees are in first place, but everybody else is kind of right around 500. Get out in front here. Get out in front of the AL East here. Get 5-6 games over 500, so you're not playing this back and forth battle that we saw last year when you're just tiptoeing and getting close with a 500, record here and 2 games over, 2 games below, 2 games over, 2 games below. Don't play that game this year, because I feel like the mental hurdles that the Tampa Bay Rays had to deal with last year, I think that just kind of wore on them as the year went on. This time, easy, take care of business. You're playing the Kansas City Royals, you know what they bring to the table, and go from there. I want to talk about some other things, but I have a tough time doing it right now because of what happened with Brandon Hagel and the fact that he's out. So again, if you're just joining us, Brandon Hagel, as announced by Coach Jon Cooper, out for Game 5. Aaron Ekblad is going to have a hearing with the Department of Player Safety, but I don't think it matters at all because he's a liar, he's a cheat, he's a fraud. This is a guy that got suspended 20 games for PEDs, and somehow, some way, that didn't make him ineligible for the postseason. Why is he even playing in the playoffs? And even if he is in that game last night and then he pops Brandon Hagel, why wasn't he penalized for it? Why wasn't he kicked out of the game for it? How come these Panther players are continuously allowed to go over the line? They're habitual line steppers. Punching guys in the back of the head, cross checks to the lower back. Listen, I know it's a physical game. I get it. It happens in the playoffs, right? But no team does it more than the Florida Panthers. None. That's a dirty, dirty hockey team That isn't an opinion. That's fact. Matthew Tkachuk with the dirty play in this series. Nico Mikkola with the dirty play in this series. Aaron Ekblad with the dirty play in this series. We're not making this up. This isn't a biased or an unbiased view. The facts are facts. They don't play the game between the whistles. Every single game, you see them toeing that line and pushing the envelope. Eventually, it's going to come back to bite him in the ass. I don't know what's going to happen in this scenario when it comes to Ekblad, if he's going to be suspended 1 game, 2 games, 3, or whatever. But what I do know is that Brandon Hagel is going to be out game 5. And at the very least, Aaron Ekblad should be out for game 5 too. But I got no faith in the NHL and the Department of Player Safety that they're going to make the right call. Are you? Because I sure as hell am not. All right, make sure you follow me on all social media platforms: Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, TikTok. I am everywhere. Like and subscribe on YouTube. Always want to hear from you guys on the program. Russ, real quick, why haven't we hit someone to retaliate, Jay? It's not about retaliation, Russ. It's not. And who's going to stand up to them? We had a good call earlier today on the program. Like, there's no Pat Maroon on this team. Tanner Jeannot, I know it wasn't the greatest trade, but like, who is going to stand up? Nobody. Nobody's going to stand up. It's not the way it goes. So there we go. We're just going to have to deal with it. You got to play better. And regardless, the physicality of this entire series, that's not the reason why they're losing. Regardless of whether you like what they're doing or not, that's not the reason why they're losing. Lightning best players aren't playing the best. Their power play is putrid. That's what they need to fix. If they don't do that, they're going to lose. All right, back in action tomorrow. Don't know if it's going to be noon or 1. We got to probably noon tomorrow because I got some irons in the fire. We have Eric Erlinson joining us on the program. Ryan Pepio, Ray's right-hander, is going to join us on the program. And Ken Carmen from Cleveland, he's going to join us on the program to talk all things Shedeur Sanders. All right, it's going to wrap it up for me. I hope everybody has a great rest of your day. We'll find out what happens with the Bolts. I'll be live from Amalie tomorrow. We'll see you tomorrow right here on the Jay Recher Podcast. I'm gone.